We were expecting it last night that the Judiciary Committee would actually vote on articles of impeachment. They did. The vote was on party lines. It is the two counts, abuse of power and also the obstruction of Congress. So these were the exact two counts that have been discussed. Fan was interesting last night in that I was watching it. We were all anticipating a vote around 10 o'clock, 10 to 11. And, of course, Jerry Nadler calls it, and he decides not to have the vote. And the sentiment was he wanted higher TV ratings, which I'm not sure he got today at 10 o'clock. But what's your sense?
I think it was the continuation of a political circus, honestly, Jay. I mean, they convened Wednesday night for opening statements, had 14 hours of debate yesterday, and during that 14 hours, Chairman Nadler didn't see fit to tell the GOP side of the aisle that he wasn't going to vote on those articles until tomorrow morning. Jay, look, maybe I'm cynical here, but I think it was to have more cameras in the room. I mean, just to make sure that vote was on TV, because when they reconvened this morning, Jay, at 10 o'clock, they were only in the room for a few minutes. They went home for a few hours, came back for a few minutes to vote on these two articles. But at the end of the day, Jay, you're left with the same thing you had when they began this process a couple of days ago, two paper-thin articles of impeachment that have been sent to the floor of the House.
They're not high crimes and misdemeanors. This was a political move solely, and the language in the resolution, which I read, which now is HRes 755, is the name of it, is highly vitriolic. It's repetitive language. It is language that does not really adequately address anything that is an impeachable offense, in my opinion.
The articles of impeachment are headed to the House floor after 14 hours of debate. This confirms one thing and one thing only. Democrats believe that this upcoming presidential election is simply too important to be left to the voters, particularly the voters in flyover districts, particularly to working class voters. So with agreements on the U.S.-Mexico Canada trade agreement, with the phase one trade deal with China, with record job and income growth, with unemployment at record lows, the Democrats do not believe that they can beat Trump or Trump voters, who they have consistently defamed as deplorables. That's why we have the articles of impeachment.
A partisan move like this is such a political failure for the Democrat Party. And again, you see what they are willing to drag our country through. It's disgusting. But at the same time, you look at the stock market, you look at the economy, it's having no impact. Democrats should be able to read tea leaves. Everyone knows it's a sham. It's fake. It's not an impeachment that's going anywhere. This president is remaining in office, and will likely, this helps him get reelected. I'm not saying no one wants to get impeached. It's not pleasant. But this whole presidency has been very tough for this president, and he has always put America's interests first.
It is now the purview of Speaker Pelosi. She has to decide when this vote is going to happen on the floor of the House. Procedurally, the Rules Committee will have to meet first, and generally that happens 2 days in advance of consideration. So I suspect that will happen on Monday, and at that point you'll start to get the parameters of what that debate will look like. But Jay, I would just caution people, even if they meet and report out a rule and there's an announcement that there's a Wednesday vote, that will not be ironclad, because again, this has not been formally whipped by Speaker Pelosi. So you go back to the old adage, when you have the votes to pass the resolution, you take the vote. But I'm not sure how confident she's going to be in that count. So I think it could move forward, it could move back based on where she thinks those votes are. But Jay, I would tell you this, as soon as she's confident she's got 216, she's going to rush to the floor for a vote.